The current Justice Department releasing 9 Bush-era memoranda late this afternoon. Attorney General Eric Holder citing transparency and openness in a statement, though there are other still classified documents yet to be made public. But the memorandum, dated October 23, 2001, from the Assistant Attorney General John Yoo, is plenty. It is 37 pages, reading in part. We conclude that the President has both the constitutional and statutory authority to use armed forces in military operations against terrorists within the United States. Not clear enough? How about the memo dated March 13, 2002, concluding that the Commander-in-Chief's power to transfer prisoners captured in war is not restricted by the Torture Convention, and that Al-Qaeda and Taliban prisoners are not entitled to POW status. And while that sounds like something we have heard before, a little gem on page 20 of the same 34-page document may give everyone pause. Quote, "In sum, historical practice firmly supports the power of the President to transfer and otherwise dispose of all, emphasis included, individuals captured incident to military operations, and not merely those individuals who may technically be classified as prisoners of war under relevant treaties." There were also memoranda suggesting that the government could put new restrictions on press and speech, and one contemplating ways to use wiretaps without warrants. 2 of the 9 memos came later and constituted an attempt at a cover, if not the cover-up. October 6, 2008, just before the presidential election, quote, "advised that caution should be exercised before relying in any respect on the memorandum authority to use military force to combat terrorist activities within the United States." And January 15th this year, days before the inauguration, quote, "certain provisions stated in several opinions issued by the Office of Legal Counsel in 2001 to 2003 respecting the allocation of authority between the President and Congress in matters of war and national security do not reflect the current views of this office."
Every time there's a conversation where Republicans say, well, you know, everybody thought that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction before the war, the name that always comes up is, no, Scott Ritter didn't. So how come you knew what they didn't know? Or they claim they didn't know?
Well, actually, you know, that's a curious... First of all, they have no excuse. The senior decision makers cannot claim that they knew anything. In fact, if you go back and review the words of Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice in 2001, prior to the events of September 11th, they said that Saddam Hussein had been fundamentally disarmed and that he was contained and that he did not pose a threat to the United States of America. It was only after September 11, 2001, when the Bush administration reevaluated everything within this new context of a global war on terror that suddenly...
The danger to our country is grave. The danger to our country is growing. The Iraqi regime possesses biological and chemical weapons. Weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction.
Nuclear weapons.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Well,
Our people are going to find out the truth, and the truth will say that this intelligence is good intelligence, no doubt in my mind.
there are a lot of people who lie and get away with it, and that's just a fact.
The Bush administration has built a new generation of nuclear weapons that we call usable nukes. And they have a nuclear posture now which permits the preemptive use of nuclear weapons in a non-nuclear environment if the Commander-in-Chief deems U.S. forces to be at significant risk. If we start bombing Iran, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to work.
Bomb Iran? Bomb, 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 bomb. Anyway.
My concern is that we will use nuclear weapons to break the backbone of Iranian resistance, and it may not work. But what it will do is this: it will unleash the nuclear genie. And so for all those Americans out there tonight who say, you know what, taking on Iran's a good thing.
My friends, I know how to handle the Iranians, and I'll handle them.
And if we use nuclear weapons, the genie ain't going back in the bottle until an American city is taken out by an Islamic weapon in retaliation. So tell me, you want to go to war with Iran? Pick your city. Pick your city. Tell me which one you want gone. Seattle, LA, Boston, New York, Miami. Pick one, because at least one's going. And that's something we should all think about before we march down this path of insanity, 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 insanity.
We're going to be in further wars.
And we were in 2 wars today. combating it, and there are other places in the world where we may have to.
It's a tough war we're in. It's not going to be over right away. There's going to be other wars.
He will make Cheney look like Gandhi.